Are you tired of all the contradicting diets out there? Some are telling us we should avoid carbohydrates, some tell us we should avoid meat. It can be very confusing, and how do you know which is the right one for you? So, I'm just gonna lay it out straight for you today. There is no one diet for everyone, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. You really have to find what works for you, but a lot of the issues with all these popular diets is that they're so restrictive that they're not sustainable. So maybe they work for a bit, until they don't, until you fall off because it's just not something you can follow for the rest of your life. So I want to share a really simple tool with you today. I'm Dana Lynn, I'm a registered dietitian, and my goal is to help people find a way of eating and a lifestyle that is something they can live with for the rest of their life so that they can have a long, healthy, high quality life. So let's get started. This tool I'm going to show you today is really fantastic for whatever your health goals are. They really work, it works for pretty much any health goal, whether you are trying to lose weight or you have diabetes or high blood pressure, high cholesterol, PCOS, maybe you're healthy and you just want to keep it that way. It's helpful and it's super simple. So this is the balance plate. This is the tool I'm talking about. I'm sure this is not something you've never seen before. How this works is I separated it with tape, but you can see you'd want to make a quarter of your plate your protein, a quarter your carbohydrate, and then half of it your vegetables, non-starchy vegetables, and we'll kind of get into that. So if you have seen this before, if this is nothing new for you, and if this is not what your plate looks like most of the time, that's telling me there's some sort of disconnect in whenever you saw this and it didn't sink in. So my goal today is to talk about the how and the why so that this can become more of a reality, because it really is, it works. It's so helpful. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna plate a meal, my lunch for you, with you guys today, so you can kind of see, and we'll talk about as I plate each category what you might want to think about when you're picking the food for that category, right? So we're gonna start with the protein portion of the plate. Today I just air fried some salmon. I just had them individually wrapped in the freezer, so it was super simple. So I'm taking my salmon, putting that in one quarter of my plate. So it's about like maybe 3-4 ounces. It doesn't have to be a ton. A good way to think about this is if you're doing meat, it can be like maybe the size of a deck of cards, maybe a little bit more, especially if you're active or a larger person, you might need a little bit more. But that's a pretty good amount. So the types of foods you want to put on this portion of the plate can be, you can do fish, you can do chicken, you can do beans and lentils, you can do tofu, you can do red meat, you can do pork. Those, you might want to be a little more mindful of, just because the way our beef is commercially produced is not the best. It's not that there's something wrong inherently with beef, it's just the conventional beef around here isn't great. But I'm not saying don't eat it. It's definitely something you can have in the rotation. So that's kind of the protein portion of the plate. Next, we're gonna do our starch portion. So I just made some black rice. I don't like cooking, so I just have some that's like you can microwave it. And there's nothing in there except black rice. So I'm gonna put like 2 big tablespoons. It probably comes to about a half a cup of black rice. So that's taking up another quarter of my plate. So with your carbohydrate portion of the plate, fiber is key. Fiber is your best friend for many, many reasons, but one of them is fiber is extremely filling. So it is going to help you feel full, and it takes a really long time for our body to break fiber down. So we're going to be full for quite a long time. So it's really great to help prevent like more snacking later. So you want to choose a high fiber food, and ideally a food in its whole food form. So this black rice, like, there's nothing been added, nothing been taken away, it's just been cooked. So that's always a good idea when you're choosing your starches, is to choose something where it's in its whole food form. So this can be like potatoes are great, wild rice, black rice, brown rice, whatever. You can do like quinoa is a good one, corn, peas, those are going to be your starchy vegetables that would go in this carbohydrate portion of the plate. But they're whole foods, they have a lot of fiber, plus because they're in the whole food form, they have a lot of water in them. So that's also going to help fill you up. So I made a whole like a meal planning guide that gives you tons of ideas on what to put in the different parts of the plate. So if you want some ideas, if you'd like that meal planning guide, in the description there's a link you can click on and then you'll get it emailed to you. So if you just want some inspiration. Okay, so then going on to the vegetable portion of our plate, that's going to be like half of our plate. So I just roasted some broccolini, so you're just going to throw that on there. However much, it's going to make up about half of your plate. So that's about it. As far as what types of vegetables to use, variety is key. Have at it. There's none that I would say don't eat, because all the different vegetables are providing your body with different nutrients, and all these vegetables, they have a lot of water and they have a lot of fiber. That water and fiber is very, very filling. There's actually some really cool information or research that's coming out that is showing us the order we eat these foods also can make a big difference. So if you are eating your vegetables first, you can almost look at it as it's kind of like coating your digestive tract, getting it ready. Because fiber takes so long to break down, it's going to definitely like make it so that you don't don't digest your food too quickly, which makes you hungry again really soon after, right? Plus there's so much water in there, it's very filling. And another nice thing with vegetables when we eat them first is they tend to take a lot longer to chew. So it's going to help us slow down. And a lot of times we overeat because we're eating too fast. So anything you can do that's going to help you slow down, take smaller bites, chew longer, vegetables are a great way to do that. So eating the vegetables first, then eating your protein portion, because protein is another one of those things that takes a long time for your body to digest and break down. So it's going to keep you fuller longer, and it's very satisfying. So your vegetables, then your protein, then you enjoy your carbohydrates. And if you've seen my videos or get my newsletter, our blood sugar matters regardless of whether we have diabetes or not, because that's what is really influencing our cravings and our hunger and fullness and the way our body stores fat. So it matters a lot. So we want to regulate blood sugar, and eating in this pattern is going to help regulate the blood sugar so that by the time we get to our carbohydrate, which is the thing that raises our blood sugar, we have set this like beautiful foundation to help it to not spike too high, which then causes a crash and all the cravings and stuff like that. So that's where we're going with this. It's as simple as that with the healthy plate. Now, if you don't eat foods like, not every meal is going to be perfectly, here's the vegetable, here's the protein, here's the starch. So if you're doing a mixed dish like soups, casseroles, things like that, a good way to think about it is you want the ingredients going into that dish to still be in those proportions, meaning half the ingredients going in is the protein, a quarter going in is the protein, a quarter going in is the starch, and then half going in is the vegetables. So that's how you can do mixed dishes. Another thing I wanted to talk about is the size of the plate. So this is our salad plate at home. That's just the way our dish set is. Like, our salad plate's pretty big. Here's our entree plate. It's so big. So if you're using your entree plate at home, it's gonna influence how much you eat. And I wanna show you I'm gonna transfer this plate that's pretty full of food to the larger plate, and you can see what a difference it makes. So we put our fish on, moving my veggies over, and my rice. And you can see that it kind of looks like an empty plate. And we do eat a lot with our eyes, meaning, if this were to come down in front of you, you would feel pretty deprived already. So that's likely going to cause you to either put extra on your plate if you're plating your own, or go back for seconds just because it feels like this isn't a ton of food. But when it was on the smaller plate, it felt like a full plate. So that's another little tip that you can use, is just choosing the size of your plate that's going to help you feel more satisfied. Anything you can do to help with that is going to be important. Another key to this is to make sure that when you're eating, to avoid overeating, if you feel like you overeat, is to try slowing down. So if you feel like you eat pretty quickly, a good way to know if you're eating pretty quickly is to just like time yourself one day and see. It should take a good 30 minutes to finish a meal. So if you think you're taking less than that, try slowing down, chewing each bite, take small bites. That's going to help you to be able to stick to that plate. Another thing that helps you to not go back for seconds or end up overeating is to not arrive at that meal starving. So make sure that you're eating every 3 to 5 hours. Skipping meals can definitely make it so that we end up overeating at meals. So just something to think about. So those are hopefully some tips and tricks that'll help you. I mentioned that meal planning guide I have. There's some breakfast, lunch, and dinner ideas on there, and there's also a bunch of snack ideas, because snack is the same idea where you want to have your protein, have your high fiber carbohydrate, and then that snack is going to be a lot more satisfying, so that you're not reaching for more and more snacks or overeating again at your next meal. So all that to say, it can be really simple. Does every single meal I eat look like this? No, but honestly, most of them do. But, this has taken me a long time to build up to it. So it's something to just start thinking of and being aware of. Another thing is, it's not just going to magically happen on your plate. It's going to take some forethought, right? So you do have to do some meal planning. Make sure there's veggies at home. Make sure you have the things to create these balanced plates at home. And with meal planning ahead of time, sometimes that's going to mean you're going to it's going to be time to make that meal or eat it, and you're going to be like, "Oh, I'm not really in the mood for this right now." Right? So does that happen to me sometimes? Absolutely. Do I make it and eat it anyway? I do. Because afterward, it's like, I'm so glad I did that. Like, it was worth it. And, it ended up being better than I thought, even if it wasn't exactly what I was in the mood for. Obviously, sometimes it's just like, no, I don't want to do that. And that's okay too. But as long as most of the time we're aiming for that healthy plate and we're following through with that and aiming for the whole foods on it, it's really helpful. So give this a try, and definitely click the link below, and that will get you the meal plan that I made. And hopefully that'll be really helpful, and let me know in the comments what you think. All right, enjoy.